Hi guys, back once again, and this time I'm going to be talking about The Last Jedi again. In the last video I did, I kept it very spoiler free, but this is going to be all spoilers everywhere, right? So if you haven't seen The Last Jedi, you're going to want to give this a miss, because I will spoil the living shit out of this film for you. But the reason why I'm doing this video now is because this movie has problems, okay? I don't hate this movie. I said the movie's okay, and that's really where it's at, okay? The great in this movie gets sucked down by the crap. What's great in this movie is great, but what's crap just stops this movie from being good. So it's an okay film, but I'm going to go through all the crap that's in this film, what I consider to be terrible things in this film, that make this movie just what it is. So let's crack on and get on with some of my problems with The Last Jedi. And the first thing I'm going to talk about is Leia in space. Let's talk about that. Let's get that one out of the way. I have a real problem with this because, not because Leia can't use the Force. Okay, Leia and Luke are twins. Okay, so it stands to reason that whatever Luke can do with the Force, she can do with the Force. That's totally acceptable. That is absolutely fine. There's nothing to say that she is not just as powerful with the Force as Luke. I totally get that. My problem is, Leia has never ever demonstrated any ability like this before. It comes totally out of the blue. If we'd had a scene, say in The Force Awakens, whereby she just puts her hand out and picks something up off a table and it just goes into her hand, then it would be more acceptable. But this just pops out of nowhere. She's in the middle of space, she just opens her eyes and next thing you know she's flying across the screen back into the spaceship. It's just like, it just totally caught me by surprise. And again, the problem there is the fact that there was no setup for it. We had no inclination that Leia was this in tune with the Force, or this powerful with the Force. But like I said, it stands to reason that she would be, because she's twins with Luke. So, you know, Luke and Leia are just as equally powerful, or should be just as equally powerful. But there was no build-up to this. It just popped out of nowhere. So there's that. The next thing I want to talk about is Maz Kanata. What a waste of a character. And I mean, like, there are plenty of wasted characters in this film. So let's get it out of the way. Maz Kanata, total waste of time on screen. Captain Phasma, total waste of time on screen. In fact, I regard Captain Phasma now as being the Wile E. Coyote of the Star Wars universe. You know, you want somebody to fall off a precipice? There she is. Snoke, total waste of time. Total waste of time. The build-up for Snoke and what you got is just complete crap. I don't get it. I just don't get it. They're not in the movie long enough. Same with Chewbacca and the Millennium Falcon. I mean, that bugs the hell out of me. Chewbacca, C-3PO, R2-D2, like, it's like all the original cast are now taking a backseat for the new guys, and they're just there to sort of like usher them on. It bugs the shit out of me that they do this, because these characters have been holding up these movies, you know, particularly C-3PO and R2-D2 have been since in every single Star Wars movie. They've been in every single one, and they held up a couple of the Star Wars movies themselves, you know. And A New Hope is all about sort of C-3PO, R2-D2 and Luke Skywalker. You know, R2 gets everybody out of trouble whenever he can. Now all of a sudden, he's a waste disposal bin. That's just in the background. It bugs the shit out of me that they do that. I don't like, in this movie, I don't like the switching character for Luke. This is another problem again, because Luke Skywalker in episode 4, episode 5 and episode 6 is all about how he has to help people, how we've got to save the princess, how we've got to do this, how we've got to fight the Empire. He's so proactive right the way throughout episodes 4, episodes 5 and episode 6. His stubbornness, his willingness, his drive to go and help people, it fuels him. We get to this episode, this guy doesn't want to know. He just doesn't want to know. He's just like, no, I'm done. No, I'm out of. What is that? Like, I can understand a switching character, but give me a reason to let me know why there's this switch in the character. You know, I have no problems with characters evolving and changing at all. But you cannot just flip this character and not tell me why. Not offer me a reason why. Not tell me why this guy is so defeated. It goes against everything that we know about Luke Skywalker. Absolutely everything we know about him. It's such a... And again, the problem here is that he is resisting helping Rey. And he's resisting, he essentially wants the same thing that Kylo Ren does. He wants the Jedi to die. He wants the Jedi, he wants the First Order, he wants all that stuff gone. The difference there is that Kylo Ren wants it gone because he wants to start anew. Whereas Luke just wants stuff to go. I mean, he's such a defeated character. And there's no valid, real explanation as to why he is that way. Yeah, okay, he's had suffered some losses. Yeah, but he's suffered much worse than the others. I mean, you know, proper, you know, losses. Like he lost friends and everything. You know, when they were attacking the Death Star, he lost plenty of people. So I don't get it. I don't understand it. Oh, let's go on to the big one, Rey's parents. Let's talk about that. So here's my problem with Rey's parents, okay? This setup for who Rey's parents are is just unacceptable. It's bad storytelling through and through. Now you might be saying to yourself, well, you know, it's not their fault that you thought that Rey's parents were going to be somebody important. No, that's not what it. It is their fault because they're the ones who raised the question. The audience didn't raise the question. We weren't all sitting in the cinema watching The Force Awakens going, I wonder who her parents are. She's awfully good with the Force, you know. I wonder who her parents are. I wonder if her parents are... We never raised these questions. The film did. The film made several references to Rey's parents. Not only did they make several references to Rey's parents and talk about that, oh, her parents are going to come back for what, someday. It attached significance to these people. And we were just wondering who the hell they were. In fact, they even go back to showing you a flashback to when she's a child, being dropped off, and they go off back to the stars. We, the audience, did not ask any questions about Rey's parents. We were introduced to her as a fully grown woman. We didn't ask these questions. The movie did. So we spent 2 years then in speculation, fan theory and all this stuff, stewing for 2 years to be told, well, they don't matter. They're not important. Yeah, let's move on, be clever. Ooh, we got you. That's bullshit. Bullshit. To do that to your fans is just stupid. And they've done they've done it with a lot of the questions from The Force Awakens. The Force Awakens raised several questions about several things, and we're just never going to get the answers to. Okay, I will guarantee you we will never get an answer as to how the hell Maz Kanata got hold of Luke's lightsaber. We'll never know. They said it was a question to be answered another time. We'll never know. Put that out of your head right now. It's never going to happen. So yeah, when it comes to Rey's parents though, The Force Awakens asked those questions, and the answer that they give us, total shit. So there's that. The next thing we'll talk about is the plot with Finn and Rose. This is a terrible plot. This is a terrible subplot. You already had a couple of plots going on with the film, with what was happening with Poe Dameron, with the Resistance, with trying to get these ships to escape and trying to get things to safety. The subplot then that you had going on with Finn and Rose, where they had to go find the code breaker and Benicio del Toro. It's just terrible. Space Vegas. I hate Space Vegas. There's a point in this movie where it stopped being Star Wars for me. When it got to Space Vegas, it started being Fifth Element. you know, the Fhloston Paradise kind of thing. That's where it went to. It's just a really, really bad thing to do. And we've seen gambling establishments before in Star Wars. But we've seen them whereby they've been gambling on pod racing, you know, or you know, on all these different sorts of things. We saw it in, I think it was episode 2, I think it was, that they went to a gambling establishment. But this was far too close. There was people playing cards, there was crap tables, there were, you know, one-armed bandits. It was too close to our own reality. And Star Wars has never, ever crossed that line. To do Space Vegas was crossing the line. You know, it literally crossed the line from Star Wars reality to our own reality, and it was too familiar, and I just hated it, absolutely hated it. Then you had all the plot about freeing all the cattle and all this stuff, and it was like, oh, this is trying to give me some sort of message about how animals should run free and all this stuff inside a Star Wars movie. I mean, come on, you can do better than this. So yeah, I hated Space Vegas. Another problem with the film, and as much as it pains me to say it, Yoda. I had a real problem with Yoda. I didn't have a problem with Yoda showing up in this film, and I didn't have a problem with Yoda talking to Luke in this film. What I had a problem with Yoda doing was summoning thunderbolts and lightning, very, very frightening, and bringing down a tree. The reason why I have a problem with this is, what is the point in having the resistance? What is the point in organising and having a resistance when all you need is this guy? Just send this guy. He can summon bloody thunderbolts from beyond the grave. They can't kill him, he's already dead. What is the point? What is the point in having Jedi, having Sith, when somebody from beyond the grave can just wreak down thunderbolts on you? I mean, it was, what a terrible mistake. I can understand Yoda doing something, trying to convince Luke, but actually being able to physically affect the real world, essentially? No. We have to do it for ourselves, otherwise we can't do it. So when you can physically interact with the real world, that's not a good thing. So yeah, I mean, that really bugged me. Another thing that really bugged me in this film is the end. Luke's end in this film. So there's a couple of things going on in this scene, and one of the things that bugs me about this scene, some of it has to do with Luke himself, and another has to do with other characters that come into this scene. So let me just lay out for you then how I'm going to put this. Right then, let's start off with Finn, okay? So they've got this Death Star cannon that's going to blow up these doors, right? Finn comes in and he's going to, commit suicide and sacrifice himself to. There's a lot of people trying to commit suicide in this film. They just like, for the good of the resistance. Yeah, so there's a lot of people trying to off themselves in this film, and Finn is one of those people. He just decides that he's going to off himself to destroy this cannon. Rose comes in then and then rams him out the way, right? Then Luke shows up and he takes on all these, what do they call it, guerrilla walkers or whatever the hell. They're AT-ATs, okay? They modified AT-ATs. Let's just call them what they are, right? So Luke shows up and he kicks the holy living shit out of Kylo Ren and all this, and it turns out he's not really there, and so on. Why did Rose stop Finn? Because think about it now, right? They got this cannon that's going to wipe out the entire resistance. Finn is going to destroy the cannon. Rose comes in and stops Finn from destroying the cannon. She doesn't know Luke's about to show up. She has no clue. The only way she would possibly do this is if she knew Luke was already there, which she didn't. If Luke hadn't shown up, the resistance would have been wiped out. This girl needs to be kicked out the arse. Just got rid of. She nearly killed every single one of them. She had no clue Luke was going to be here. The fact that Luke showed up was just pure luck. Just a crap way of writing these characters. Terrible, terrible writing. And then of course Luke does something that no other Jedi's ever done before, because in these films Jedi's can do whatever they like in these films now. You want to run at 1,000 miles an hour in episode 1, you run at 1,000 miles an hour in episode 1. You want to jump 900 feet in the air, you can jump 900 feet in the air, go on. You want to jump from this platform to that platform way up there, go on son, you can do it. You can do whatever you like now. And this whole thing of astral projection with the Jedi was just unbelievable. And then of course Luke dies just because. The only way I can think of talking about this film is that it seems to me that the new Star Wars films are just excuses to kill off the old cast. You know, mark my words, okay? In the next film, Chewbacca, C-3PO, R2-D2 and the Millennium Falcon are all going to bite the bullet. In fact, do you know what? I'm surprised that it wasn't the Millennium Falcon with Chewie, R2-D2 and C-3PO going into hyperdrive. I'm surprised they didn't do that. There's so much good in this film that all this crap just weighs it down. It's barely staying afloat. But anyway, yeah, those are really my problems with the film. I would like this movie more if these were dealt with. For example, okay, so the Maz Kanata scene. How do we get around this Maz Kanata scene? Well, first of all, you have Maz Kanata there, but Poe is actually talking with Finn, who knows Maz, because they've actually met, unlike Poe and Maz have never met. But Finn has. And what if, instead of introducing you to Benicio del Toro's character, they introduce you to Lando Calrissian? Why not? He's already established, he's already there, he's got connections, he must know something about the First Order, and it gives you a chance to reintroduce the audience to Lando again. So that would have been easier to deal with. Plus, I wouldn't have had Space Vegas. I mean, you know, what's wrong with pod racing? Bring back pod racing. Okay, so yeah, okay, it's bringing back something that we're already familiar with, but that doesn't mean to say that you couldn't bring it back in a new sort of way, that you couldn't have pod racing through some sort of cityscape instead of canyons, or even Tauntaun racing. Tauntaun racing, there we go. Even better. You know, pod racing and Tauntaun racing, why not? So, there are ways and means and methods of doing this film where they could have changed things. Luke did not have to die at the end. He could have just sat back down on a rock. In fact, Luke had already had the X-Wing there. He could have got in the X-Wing, he could have flown there, he could have gone there in person and kicked just leveled 7 shades of shit out of him. And we'd have been left with a strong Luke Skywalker. I guess that they didn't want Luke to be cut down, and I get that. So why kill Luke in this film? Why not let him have the death that he had in this film in the next one? So there's, in fact, I don't see why you've got to kill Luke to begin with. There we go. I don't see why you've got to kill him. Why have you got to kill the original cast? What is so special about that? But anyway, yeah, that's my problems with The Last Jedi.